Hey everyone, and welcome back to the 9 Frames podcast. This is episode 69, and it is Friday, January 12th, 2024. I'm Bill Whalen.
And I'm Mike Whalen.
Be sure to catch us as always on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Our Spotify is 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. Please follow us on there, subscribe, like, comment, and share if you enjoy the show.
Yeah, we've got a little bit of news. One of the bigger pitching free agents is now off the market. Arbitration news, and a little bit more.
Yeah, this really is a pitcher's episode. A couple big deals, a couple pitching free agents coming off. Should be a fun one, but we are going to start with arbitration, like you said. And we'll get right into that now. And we will start with arbitration, like I said. This one is wild. The record has been broken for the biggest contract in arbitration history. It was just set last year by Shohei Ohtani and the 2023 Angels at $30 million. But now Juan Soto is given $31.5 million by the 2024 New York Yankees.
Yeah, definitely well-deserved. It's hard to say that he doesn't deserve to be paid that much money with how good he's been over the last 5 years, 6 years of his entire big league career. I think it's pretty crazy that it's just immediately right after. That seems to be the trend now. As soon as a record is set for contracts or money-wise and anything, it gets broken the next offseason.
Yeah, it really does keep going up. You got to think, does that ever stop?
I don't know.
Right, at some point.
As long as the leagues continue to make the money that they're making, I don't see why it would.
Very true. People keep making more and more money. These contracts are getting wild. $31.5 million does not feel like an arbitration contract.
No, it really does. It feels like the end of a long contract that he had already signed.
Yeah, I mean, what is that exactly? That's like exactly what Bryce Harper gets from Philadelphia.
No, he makes less. He makes 5 less, I think. 26.5 or something like that. Yeah, Bryce took the years over the AAV.
It's pretty wild to think that in arbitration he's making $6 million more than him.
Yeah, this could also be a sign of good faith for from the Yankees to show that they mean business in keeping Juan Soto past this year.
Gave him exactly what he wanted, and that is the record as well. So a lot of money on the table there, and he takes it for the year. Obviously, he was going to end up playing, and it's good that they didn't have to go to a hearing.
Yeah, very hard to be disappointed if you're Juan Soto with the Yankees right now. So
talking about New York, we will move it on over to first base and the Mets, as Pete Alonso has agreed to terms $20.5 million there for the next year.
Also really nice to see them not have to go to arbitrate the court for it.
Yeah, that would have been a bad time, considering that he will be a free agent after this year. I would personally, as a Met fan, I'd like to see them get that one hammered out long before he has the chance to go to free agency.
Yeah, and it sounded like Pete wanted to be a Met, so I mean, I don't know why they don't. I don't know why they haven't already been working on it, to be honest with you.
You hear these rumors about a possible trade, and it's something I don't want to see at all. This is a guy that's production you're basically not going to be able to replace.
No, we were just talking about it in the car. I mean, he had 46 home runs and 118 RBI again this year.
It really boils down to the fact that he has more homers than anyone since he's debuted. So, yeah. I mean, what are you going to say? He's one of the best pure power hitters in the league.
And I think he's got to be up there in terms of RBI, too, since he entered the league. I mean, the guy had 120 as a rookie. He had 118 again last year. He had more than that the year prior. So
the numbers are insane. They're not numbers that you're going to find easily on any market.
No, and I maybe spring training is what sparks it, when everybody gets there and they can see each other in person.
Yeah,
maybe they'll hammer it out.
That should probably be the first time that he and Stearns are around each other for an extended amount of time. So.
Yeah, it won't be just a phone call.
We'll have to keep our eye on that, and a lot of other contracts as well. Nestor Cortez will be coming back to the Yankees, no hearing, but now we will be getting into some interesting ones that will be going to a hearing. And we'll start out with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays. This one's pretty wild. He was asking for $19 million, and they offered him $18 million.
I just can't believe you're going to slight Vladimir Guerrero Jr. over $1 million with how good he's been. I mean, I know he had a little bit of a down year last year, but if 26 and 94 is a down year, I mean, give the guy the money.
Exactly. This is a guy that produces for you, and not only that, but he, is the Blue Jays brand right now. Him and Bichette, the young guys, that's what you think of when you think of the Blue Jays, and you're not going to give them the $1 million, which still would have been $1 million less than Pete Alonso's getting.
Yeah, and it always concerns me why teams do this, because you're going to leave a sour taste in the mouth of a guy that's going to be a free agent soon.
I mean, I guess it is a business, so will it leave a sour taste? Like, it would for me.
You're going to slight me over $1 million, man?
Baseball's a tough game, and he puts his all out there, and they're not willing to give him that $1 million. It's probably pretty obnoxious. Now he's got to go to a hearing.
Yeah, it has to be just a little bit more annoying, because he knows he's not going to get. I mean, maybe they'll side with him. Honestly,
yeah, they might. I wouldn't be surprised because, like you said, he had a quote-unquote down year, and he was just 6 RBI off of another 100.
Yeah, if you remember back in 2021 when Ohtani won his first MVP, he was the runner-up.
Yeah, this is a guy who and he would have won
in 48 and like 100 and something. I mean, it was
regular
crazy.
season. He's taken home that trophy.
Of course,
it's just that Shohei Ohtani, like this year.
I think if he was in the NL that year, he would have probably taken it home over Bryce.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean,
he had a crazy season.
Definitely, but he will be going to a hearing with the Blue Jays over that $1 million, and it'll be interesting to see what the court comes to a decision on.
Unfortunate, but the next one is even more unfortunate with Adolis Garcia and the Texas Rangers, the defending World Series champions this year. Garcia was seeking, what? He wanted $6.9 million, and the Rangers were only offering him $5 million.
This is wild to me, man. This is
almost $2 million.
This is the ALCS MVP.
Yeah,
you legitimately don't win a World Series if it's not for his production this year. You're not finding it elsewhere. He was doing all of the heavy lifting for them in that series, and then, I mean, you're just not going to give him $1.9 million. That's very small market of them.
Yeah, especially with how little they've already had to pay him so far in his career. I mean, he's been making less than this. I would have just given it to. I mean, it's easy to say for us to sit here where we're just fans to just give him the money, but like you said, it is a business, and they don't always want to give him the money.
When you're the ALCS MVP, though, and he's just consistently produced, he's a perennial all-star level player. 6.9 is a steal for the guy.
I would say so, yeah.
6.9 is a steal for the guy. So for him to come to you and ask for that, and you to lowball him for $5 million, it does feel insulting to me personally.
That's what I'm saying. Like, does it not concern you a little bit if you're a Rangers fan that could leave a sour taste in the mouth of Adolis Garcia, and maybe he's like, I could go make the money anyway somewhere else.
The wild thing about it too is I could see this one being an interesting hearing because the jury or whatever, however it works, the judge, might actually side with the Rangers due to the nagging injuries that Adolis has dealt with in regular seasons past. Yeah, even this year.
This one will definitely be more interesting to see, given the track record of injury history, like you're saying, yeah.
Moving on over to the National League and Luis Arraez right now, man. We spent a lot of the season with... You couldn't watch MLB Network without seeing his name in the bottom right as he was trying to chase a 400 batting average. Ended up around 350 on the season.
354 was his final batting average.
I mean, what a year for him. And he's asking for $12 million while the Marlins countered at $10.6 million. See, so that's a $1.4 million gap there. I mean, who's even really making that decision, right? Their GM was just fired, so is that literally the owner?
I don't know because
they don't have someone right now.
I mean, whoever made the decision, I just find it insane. You're not going to pay your best player an extra $1.4 million.
I mean, he's a huge part of why they made it.
He was the engine to their offense.
Yeah, you put a guy like this at the top of your lineup, and he's going to get on base so often. For his average to be 354, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's got to be way over 400 for the on base, right?
Definitely.
So, I mean... You're getting a guy on base way over 40% of the time. You better pay him $1.4 million extra. He's definitely a $12 million player in this current market.
Yeah, I mean, the year before he hit 354, he hit 326 and won the American League batting title. So he's got 2 batting championships back to back in 2 different leagues. It would be insane for them to not side with him.
Yeah, I mean, I would think 30 teams would pay this guy $12 million.
The numbers are there.
I would give this guy $12 million happily.
Of course. Why wouldn't you? He's gonna hit. He's guaranteed to hit. 310 would be astronomically low for him.
Even showed a little pop this year too.
It's crazy.
Towards the end of the year, he was getting homers out and everything, and he was instrumental to their run towards the playoffs.
It's crazy how reactionary everybody is when these teams make big contracts and sign big free agents. I think people should be more upset that teams slight their players like this and over. I mean, the next one that we're about to say is even crazier. Devin Williams and the Brewers. we all know how dominant Devin Williams has been. He never really makes any issues, never any noise off the field. He wanted, $7.3 million. I think every single team in the league would say, okay, fine.
100% worth that in the ninth inning.
The Brewers say, no, we're going to counter with $6.65 million.
So they're trying to short the guy out of $700K. When you put how much money a Major League Baseball team makes and what a bullpen means to being a winning team, like, this one definitely feels insulting, not only to Devin Williams, but, like, actually to Brewers fans.
Yeah, like, regardless, I mean, there's just no way that if I'm Devin Williams, this annoys me, and I don't want to play there next year.
Yeah,
if I cannot.
The Brewers, since Mark Stearns has left, they just
David Stearns.
David Stearns. It feels like they are actively just disrespecting their players.
Yeah.
They just they had a guy cry for them and then they cut him.
Mm-hmm.
That's so disrespectful. And
it's crazy.
They said everybody's up for sale. So I mean, I guess that includes Devin Williams to an extent, right?
The Brewers have gone in a much different direction than I thought they would have after winning their division and making the playoffs again. But hey, to each their own, I suppose.
Yeah, they continue to lowball, and I don't know if that's a strategy that's going to pay off in this current MLB.
I agree.
Our last one here we will talk about is Austin Hayes, the all-star outfielder, and the Baltimore Orioles. I mean, this was a first-place team, and this was a first-place player last year. He was asking for $6.3 million, and they offered him $5.85 million. So they're off by $500,000 here?
I mean, well, what are we talking about? Just give them the $500K.
How much does somebody get paid to make the all-star team? Don't they get a bonus?
It's probably like $100K or something like that.
And so he's not worth $500K for a full season of his services?
You would think he is. Yeah, but again, the Orioles owner is notoriously cheap. He has said that there's no way they're going to be able to pay all their players when they hit free agency, whenever that is, because they're all coming up at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, this just further proves it.
Yeah, he said
these guys
not the big contract team is literally what the owner said.
That's insane, man. Like, you're just telling your fan base, and
your players.
We kind of don't care that much.
And your players. So you're telling them when it comes up to your contract, you're not going to get that big offer from us, even though you spent 6 years with us.
Yeah, it would annoy me. I don't know.
It definitely would. I mean, this list was made to kind of incite that feeling. These are kind of the most outrageous ones.
Yeah.
But they are outrageous at that, and that's kind of what arbitration brings around.
Definitely.
Getting into the major stories of the week now, and it is going to be a lot of talk of pitching, which is huge. The Cubs, man, the Chicago Cubs.
They finally woke up.
We've been saying it for a while. They have not made any big moves. They are now not one of the only two teams to not make a major move. It's now the Miami Marlins alone as the Chicago Cubs land international Japanese left-hander Shota Imanaga on a $53 million deal over 4 seasons. This could be a 5-year deal. This deal is a little funky. I don't know if you've seen the details. They have the chance to extend it to a 5-year deal, which would make it $5 million, or a 5-year $80 million deal. They can extend that in the 2025 offseason or 2026 offseason, and if they don't do it by then Imanaga gets an option to elect for free agency.
So after his second or third year.
Yeah, and if they don't do it by then he can elect for free agency then. So it could end up being anywhere between 4 or 5 years here.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's one where they're giving him power. I like the money here. The Cubs needed to make a deal. They needed to get what they considered a top-end arm, and if he translates well, he's going to be that. Yeah,
and I heard that there was another team that made a bigger offer for him, and he decided to sign with the Cubs anyway.
No word on who that is?
No, they never named the team.
I'm sure
the offer was supposed to be, like, substantially larger than this offer, but he chose the Cubs maybe because of the contract that you're talking about. They have multiple options.
Not to mention that huge deal that they gave to manager Craig Counsell. Maybe he wants to play under him. Not sure if that's
Seiya Suzuki is also there.
Mm-hmm. That is also true. This is a 30-year-old arm coming over, and he had a phenomenal season last year. He had a 2.80 ERA in 148 innings with a league-leading 174 strikeouts. He led Yamamoto by 5.
That's wild.
Yamamoto at 169 to his 174, so a great season for him. He's played 8 seasons in the NPB. He's 30 years old now, like I said. He's like a 3 ERA guy. I think he's slightly under, maybe slightly above. But in his last 2 seasons, he had a 2.53. So, I mean, this is a guy that's worth that money in the MLB if he can translate well.
Absolutely. And, I mean, he's probably not going to be expected to be their ace, I wouldn't say.
No, I'm assuming that would be Steele. He'll probably be either the 2 or 3. Probably the 2.
The Cubbies are kind of forming a little bit of a nice rotation. They
not bad at all.
They need to finish off the back end of it, and they could have a nice rotation for sure.
Yeah, as of right now, their rotation looks to be Justin Steele. I'd probably slot him into the 2 here, Imanaga, I mean. Kyle Hendricks would be the 3, and then Jameson Taillon would be the 4th with... I mean, they kind of need to pivot and find a 5th there.
That's what I'm saying. Just tie off the back end of it, and hey, maybe... I mean, this is their only move so far.
Yeah, I mean, this is a deal that I love. I know Cubs fans...
There's still people out there.
Cubs fans got to be loving it, too. I mean, I was hoping that this was a guy that the Mets would be looking at. I know their name was in the hat at some point.
Maybe they were the team that made the bigger offer.
Could even be, and if they are, man, then that means they've been losing out big time on a lot of free agents, specifically the international
That was my fear. Maybe the other people are using them to drive their price, but he didn't really do that, actually. He took less money.
Ended up taking the smaller deal, yeah, which is not usually what you see, but yeah, Imanaga will be going to the Cubs, and it is worth noting that the Cubs will also pay his posting fee, which is around $10 million.
Okay.
Yeah, now we'll move it on over to another pitcher. The New York Yankees are making a deal. They bring right-hander Marcus Stroman in on a 2-year, $37 million contract. That includes a vesting player option.
Yeah, have fun with that head case.
Yeah, I've seen Yankee fans online. They're not the happiest about it. This is a guy, he's pretty consistent over his career. Around 3.5 is what you're going to get from him. He had a great first half last season for the Cubs, posting a 2.96, and then he had a second half, which was tarnished by hip and rib injuries, pardon me. He missed a lot of time, and then he dropped 23 earned runs in 24 innings pitched to inflate that season ERA to 3.95 last year.
Yeah, he came back to the pitcher he was toward the end of the year. He was kind of back in his fluke mode, where he was having like a nice first half. He fooled everybody into thinking that he was an all-star, and then he finishes with nearly a 4, which makes more sense.
I know a lot of people don't like this guy. And
No.
I don't particularly like his personality either, but you got to give it to him. He's been consistent over his MLB career. Over 9 seasons with the Blue Jays, the Mets, and the Cubs, he's got a 3.65 with a 1.25 whip in over 1,300 innings pitched at 1,300.
Yeah, he's a solid like 3-4.
100%. That's exactly where I put him. I think he is is a guy who can be a 3 on a very good ball club.
But if you said that to him, he would get upset because he thinks he's an ace.
Yeah, I mean,
but he is not.
It's tough when you're a Major League Baseball player. You want to be the star and you want to play up to that, and that's what he was doing that in the first half of last season. So things like that, it'll end up hyping him up, and injuries kind of hindered him in the second half.
Yeah, then he tanked himself in the second half, and then he opted out of a contract that would have paid him more money than he currently is going to make for the Yankees, so he's also dumb.
Yeah, well, it's a little weird, too, because I believe I remember him sitting on the podium saying how much he enjoyed playing for the Cubs organization. So it's weird to leave extra money on the table and go to the Yankees.
He probably woke up the next day and just had a different feeling and then changed his mind.
Marcus Stroman's going to look very different on the Yankees. He's a guy who, I mean, I think he can have he can keep the mustache, but that's really it. I'm not sure what he's going to have to do with his hair. There are so many restrictions in the Yankees dress department.
That'll be an interesting conversation for whoever has to have that with him.
Yeah, I'm not sure how he's going to look.
Good luck.
When he takes the bump, he's going to look like a different person, as often players do when they go and join the Yankees, right?
Telling Marcus Stroman what he can and can't do is not going to fly with him.
I wouldn't be surprised if Marcus Stroman's the type of player to try to lead the change, try to make them change it publicly.
That would be funny.
Yeah, he might make a big deal out of it, and then
that would probably be like the best thing he ever did for baseball.
I would love to see him do it. I think that is an absolute like Neanderthal back in the Stone Age.
So stupid.
Yeah, we got to move forward on that and let players do what they want with their facial hair.
Alex Verdugo looks like a big baby on their team.
Can Yankees players wear like neon sleeves?
I don't I don't know if I've seen them.
Are they allowed? Because that's wild.
They wear like
Players
gray and
do it-
navy blue
Players
sleeves.
do it all over. Like Acuna is lathered in yellow on the Atlanta
Oh, that would not
Braves.
be allowed, no.
No?
I don't think so.
If you sign a player like Acuna, you're going to tell him you can't wear yellow on your gear. He wears it for his home country.
Tell people they can't have long hair or facial hair.
I guess they do. That is wild. I want to hear from Yankees fans. Do you like this deal? Do you like Marcus Stroman joining your rotation? He joins a rotation of who I think is the best pitcher in baseball currently, Garrett Cole. Kind of hard to debate based off what he did last year. Right?
Yeah, I mean, he was probably the best pitcher in the sport last year.
We'll have to see going forward.
Yeah.
Carlos Rodon's in that rotation. Then Clark, Schmidt, and Nestor Cortez, who we said reached a deal on arbitration, will be coming back for the Yankees as well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because we were looking at it before. Stroman doesn't have particularly good numbers in any of the American League East stadiums.
Yeah, besides the Blue Jays.
Toronto,
part.
he had a 3.4, I think it was, and
Something.
then everything else goes up to like 3.7 and above.
Yeah, he
And
spent
in-
a lot of time in this division. So
And in his new home, Yankee Stadium, in 11 starts, he has a 6.06 ERA. So it has not been good when he pitches in Yankee Stadium, and that's going to be his home ballpark for 2, maybe 3 years.
yeah, Marcus Stroman will spend his 10th MLB season in Yankees pinstripe.
Barring
Should
he
be-
requests a trade after the first year because he's not happy.
Should be super interesting to see how that relationship pans out because it's not one that I thought I'd ever see. He's coming back to New York, though.
Unblock me on Twitter, Marcus.
I don't think he will. But now we'll move it on over to the other New York team because I thought this was interesting. The Mets are showing heavy interest in Jorge Soler, the DH from the Miami Marlins. Man, this guy's been phenomenal 4 years now. 137 games played last year. Had a 250 average. That's what you expect from the guy. 36 bombs and 75 RBI, along with 24 doubles, too.
I would love to have this guy in our lineup every day, man. Either him or JD Martinez, but I'm leaning more toward him because of his age, and he's literally proven in the playoffs. I mean, he was World Series MVP
So
for the
clutch.
Atlanta Braves.
Yeah,
back
if
in
you
21.
believe in the clutch gene, this guy's got it.
So, I mean, I would love to have him in the lineup. I think the Mets need to sign one of those two guys to be their DH this year, and then fix up the bullpen. And they could really have a fun team this year, man.
Yeah, firmly agree with that. Like a disruptor type team. I think a veteran DH
Could
is a
sneak in at the wild card.
That's
There's
what
an
I mean.
Extra spot
now
now.
that it's expanded, they could definitely be that team that's like the Marlins. And then because they have such good pitching, if they do down the stretch, if guys like Sanga step up, which he would have last year if
And
he had the chance.
like I said, we got guys like Manaya and Severino, who are even Hauser. I mean, they're going to be free agents soon again. They're going to want to pitch as best as they can. Maybe they all have bounce back years. It would be tough to think that all of them have bounce back years.
Yeah.
That's wishful thinking, but
That's exactly what I've said about this Mets roster. Is it's a lot of players who they can either play at their best or play where they have been at certain times. So I mean, you'll have to see that they're taking some flyers out on players.
they're taking low risk deals with potentially high reward.
That's why I think a guy like Jorge Soler would be perfect because I think that's high reward and pretty low risk in my opinion. He's been producing.
It'd be interesting to see what a contract looks like for Jorge Soler. Like, how many years does he want and what kind of salary? Because
Yeah, what was he? He was in the mid-teens, right? Like a 16 type player.
I think 8. Yeah, maybe.
18,
maybe.
yeah.
No. He was making like too little. Remember, it was like 11, and I said there's no
Okay.
way he's gonna opt into that because he's
No.
having a crazy year, and he's gonna make way more than
I
that.
could see him making somewhere around 18 next year, right?
18 to 20,
20,
maybe.
yeah.
I could see it.
So we'll have to see.
Because I mean, Kyle Schwarber makes 20 a year, and he's a
well,
DH.
that was just a bad deal.
Not really. I mean, they've made the playoffs in the World Series once in 2 years.
Yeah, true.
So, I mean, it's been a pretty good deal, and he's been one of their best offensive drivers. I mean, he doesn't get a lot of base hits, we know, but that having 47 home runs is going to do a lot of damage.
Definitely, and it did down the stretch. It
Yeah.
did, even in the playoffs, it did again.
You'd pay somebody to hit 47 home runs
Mm-hmm.
and 120 RBI nearly for $20 million. You would
Yeah,
do it.
Mets or not, I'm very interested to see where Jorge Soler lands because I think he's a game-changing DH to put in the middle of your lineup.
I agree, dude. That would be the first time in Pete Alonso's career he has some serious protection.
Imagine
like
that middle of the lineup with Lindor, him, and Pete, man.
Without him in the 4-hole, man, that's some serious protection.
That's
finally.
probably where they put him, right?
Unless they put Pete in the 4, and then he'd probably
Him
slide to 5.
yeah, which I mean that would be something.
If they're putting Lindor in the 3.
Yeah, that's probably what I would do.
Yeah,
That would be quite a
pretty
lineup.
scary lineup, dude. That's a lot of thump and a lot of
Considering
production.
you got Nimmo at the top with maybe McNeil. Then you have Francisco Alvarez, who's got so much pop.
Darling Marte's coming back from injury. I mean, Harrison Bader's going to be in the bottom of the lineup. He's not a terrible bat, and he's going to be a fantastic defender in center field.
Yeah, the Mets will be fun to watch, and I know I'm excited for it to get started for sure.
For sure.
Veteran free agent first baseman Joey Votto. He is now a free agent for the first time in 17 years. He's a free agent, and it doesn't seem like he will be returning to the Cincinnati Reds. He's a 6-time All-Star and a former MVP. And it seems like 3 teams are now expressing interest in him, according to Bob Nightingale. Toronto is a team that's been linked to him since mid-December, but besides that, we don't know the other 2.
I would love to see him go to the Blue Jays just because that's his home. He's from Canada.
I actually think it's the perfect marriage. I see this report saying 3 teams. Toronto's the only one we know. I don't even think we should really consider the other 2 teams. I mean, if they're going to give Votto the money that he wants, and he's literally
DH
from... Yeah, that's why I think that's what he would do.
That would be awesome.
I think that's what he would do. Maybe he steps in on days where Vlad's taking a day off, like a half day, and then
because he can still play.
Of course, he's a solid first baseman. He made great plays just last year. So I mean, this is a guy who 100% I sign him to be a veteran presence on that Blue Jays team.
That boosts the locker room for sure too. You're bringing in Joey Votto.
Any thoughts on who the other 2 might be?
Maybe like who's playing first base for the Giants these days? They could maybe the Giants.
Isn't that Wilmer Flores?
I think it's Wilmer and there's also DH too though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So he can slot in on a lot of teams because, like we said, the Mets need a DH. I'm not sure if they're asking about Votto.
You'd assume that he wants to play for like a contender or semi-playoff. Maybe somebody that could be like on the fringe and he wants to help them get in.
Yeah, every time I think about it, man, Toronto is the perfect place for him.
I agree.
It was that team that was kind of... They got into the playoffs. They just needed a little bit more. And Joey Votto's presence and constant on base can kind of be that.
Maybe the Cubs? That would be
Cubs make another... That would be a slap in the face to the Reds.
I don't think he would do that to the Reds, though.
Yeah, I think that one feels unnecessary unless they're giving him extra money.
It will be weird to see him play anywhere else regardless, but I think it would feel more natural than anywhere else if it was Toronto, knowing he's from there and he grew up in Toronto.
I fully agree to that. I would love to see him playing in Blue Jays threads with that young core. Thank you to everybody for watching and listening wherever you do. That was episode 69 of the 9 Frames podcast, and it is Friday, January 12th, 2024. I'm Bill Whalen.
And I've been Mike Whalen.
Catch us on YouTube at 9 Frames Podcast. Our Spotify is 9 Frames, and our X is at 9 Frames Pod. Please follow us on there, subscribe, comment, like, and share if you enjoy the show.
Yeah, we appreciate it as always, and this one honestly got me a little bit more fired up for the season. Like, I'm ready.
Yeah, I really have been getting more and more ready as the puzzle pieces start to fall.
It's when you flip to the new year.
I'm still locked in on a couple of guys. Like, I really want to see where Soler goes. I really want to see where Cody Bellinger goes.
Blake Snell.
Yeah, Blake Snell, I really got to see that one too. I mean, these are guys that... I mean, they're almost definitely... I could definitely just see Bellinger going back to the Cubs.
Apparently, the Yankees made an offer to Snell.
And he wanted to play with them. That would probably just, push Clark Schmidt out, I would guess.
Yeah, probably.
And that would make a pretty sturdy rotation there, but as long as those guys are playing up.
Then the Yankees, we're talking a lot of money on that payroll for the Yankees if they're going that way now.
If anyone can do it, it's the New York Yankees, right?
Well, no, that's not true
The
anymore.
evil empire.
It's not if anyone anymore. That's the Mets.
Now it's the Mets, Yankees, and Dodgers, which, I mean, the Dodgers are the deferral kings, and it's... These details haven't really
circus over there.
These details haven't really come out about the Imanaga deal and the Stroman deal. I wonder if there's any deferrals in that. We'll keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, a couple of teams got their guy.
Yeah, enjoy your weekend, everybody, and we'll see you guys on Monday.